All right, we're live. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton-Sehon. We are here with Swiftfire True TV. We got a couple of badass chicks here, and we're waiting on one. And this is going to be cool. Why we are sitting here, let me go make sure that we're live. But while we're here, I would love to hear where you guys are from in the comments. How is the volume? Is the volume okay? Is it echoey?
It sounds good.
No, we're good. Okay. Yay. Someone's saying yay. All right, we have people in Dallas. We have people in the UK on here. How are you guys? We have Jen Eason with us. Kerry Cassidy is with us. And we are waiting for Laura Eisenhower for a couple minutes here. We got Wisconsin. We got Michigan. We got Linda in Louisiana, Michelle in Massachusetts, Candace Weaver, I know you, you're in Alabama, Carmelina, I hope I said that right, in Ohio. We have Rose in Canada, Christina in California, Deborah in Florida, Stardust in the UK, more people from England, Maureen's from England, Shauna in California is in the house, she says. Awesome. Maggie and another Canadian, lots of Canadians. Dr. Mazda is here from New Jersey, Michelle in Nebraska. We got lots of people on. If you guys can, go ahead and share on your page while we're waiting for Laura. I'm going to give her a couple more minutes, and if not, we're just going to kick this off. And she will just have to pop on when she pops on. But Kerry, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can't find I can't find the show at all.
Okay, so if you go to the link that I sent you, the last link that I sent you.
All right, I'll see if there's a link there. Oh, I see. All right.
And then you just hit share. Did we lose Jen? Jennifer, where'd you go? We have the Gulf Coast here. If you guys can all share, that would be great. Galveston's here. Maryland's here. Denise in Maryland. Kathy in West Virginia. Yay. He was in a... Yeah, I've had a lot of people talking. Oh, she is. About a video with Robert Steele, which I didn't get to see but he was just on with me. And then a lot of people are talking about David Rodriguez and his interview with the general. Kerry, can you speak into that a little bit about what went on with the general or what's happening? I know you talked to one. David just talked to one. He feels a little better, but I think the main thing is what we've been saying all along is that we have to be God in action. We have to participate. And a lot of people have not put in the participation piece because it's been, let's watch the movie and eat the popcorn and sit back and hopefully, Jesus is going to come or Santa, which I love Jesus very much. And I think Santa's pretty cool too. But I also think that we have to do the stuff that we are born to do, which is to commission, take dominion, and to help awaken and speak the truth and be God in action because God is in ourselves. And so, but what is it? I know that one was going to be on with you, Jen, on Monday. He had to reschedule. He rescheduled with me. Kerry's telling me that he's really busy. And I know he's really busy, but give us the scoop of what you know, Kerry.
Okay. So actually, I sorry to be so, I'm just I was going to put this on my Telegram so people can watch. So anyway, I just want to say that, one second here. Now, sorry, I just added it to my Telegram because that'll, definitely be nice for people. So the bottom line is that, yes, my YouTube channel was taken down over my Robert David Steele interview. it already had 2 strikes, and my other channel is also not usable, which is a backup channel that only has like a really small number of subscribers. And I don't use it very often, but when I'm in desperate straits, I do, but now I can't even use that. So YouTube is basically toast for me. And I put out a notice. I've been doing this for 16 years on YouTube. I had over 1,000 videos. And 70 million viewers, unique viewers over that, and also 300,000 subscribers. So over that. So that's what happened last night. And the reason they stated was because of medical misinformation. But the whole show, if anyone watched it, and I think a lot of people did, is obviously nothing to do with the medical situation, although he said one sentence about COVID. So they went through the entire video apparently and just used it as an excuse to get rid of it. Also, I'm sure they didn't want him talking positively about Trump. That's always an issue for them as well. So that's the story with that really quickly. And as far as, my interview with him, we got into a deal, an issue over what he understands to be social media and basically, the media of the people. Since he's going to go out on a tour of the United States, he thinks he's going to meet the people, but the people are also with us here today on Facebook, on Telegram, on social media, wherever it happens to be, on the different YouTube substitute channels, as well as YouTube, and it goes on and on. So we're alive every day, and we don't necessarily have to be there physically for you to know we exist. And this is the power of the internet. And obviously we, the people, are on the internet every day. Most people nowadays, even on their phones, however they do it. And the way we talk to each other, I put some thought into this even today, is through sending each other videos and then commenting with each other over those videos, and coming on people, our channels where we give a platform, and then people can come and comment with each other and talk with each other. And that's what they do. And they do that. Like now my Telegram channel's only been up there like a month or something, has 50,000 people on it. And, this is how things have grown so quickly in this world. And so he would be nowhere if it wasn't for what we call alternative media. So, but he was having an issue with alternative media, basically saying if he were president, he wouldn't even give me the time of day. He wouldn't invite us as alternative journalists to come and listen to him or ask questions or anything. He was really shooting alternative media he was basically shooting himself in the foot, is the way I would frame it. And that's too bad. I think it's more that he doesn't understand that. Not so much we disagree as he doesn't seem to get it. So, I was saying,
what I was asking about is, do you have any updates about Juan and what he says about what's going on? Because I know that what I was asking, he had an interview with Jen and Prime on Monday, and that got rescheduled. Mine got rescheduled.
Well, I sent you a link to an interview he did last night. I don't have the guy's name right in front of me. I think it's Ferdinand or something like that. Okay. And I don't know him, but it's a very good interview, and I highly recommend it. It doesn't have anything to do with what I was talking about before, but we can change subjects. That's cool.
That's what I had started out asking, but maybe you misunderstood what I was asking.
Maybe I did. Yeah, well, I just thought I needed to give some background because people are going to want to know. So, yeah. So, okay. So, but about Juan, he did a very good thing. He was talking about basically Trump coming forward, that they're going to take back the country. He was very kind of forceful and positive. This happened at the latter part of the interview, in case you didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing. Did you hear it, Jen, for example?
No, I'd love to hear it. I'll spend some time listening today. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
apparently
posted
really
it.
busy, and everyone that I talked to is saying that he's busier than normal because something's going on. And then, you know, David just talked to him literally in the last 2 hours. And David is saying that Juan is saying that it's time for us to get some skin in the game and actually do something and take responsibility and, you know, to throw the
Well, I
damn
think we've
mask
done
off.
that for many
And
years. This is
yeah, I mean, I think we've all been saying that for a while and not just, you know, sit back and wait for everybody else to do
Well,
it.
last time I heard they wanted patriots to just stay in their houses and get the fuck out of the way. So that's maybe a different story. Nice to hear that he wants people to get involved. I'm not sure how he wants them to get involved, other than, you know, journalists like ourselves are obviously already involved.
Wait, who said that? Who said to stay in the house? And
You know, Patriot Street Fighter is relaying what he's been told. You know, I think Michael Jacobs said the same thing. They've been saying this for the whole time, really, but they've been emphasizing it even the last week or two. Again, they're very afraid of having people on the streets, apparently, in case they have quote unquote operations going on.
yeah, I do think, I know they were saying that in regards to January 6th and some of the other things because there
Oh,
was
no,
like,
recently, very recently, like this week and last week.
oh, really?
Yeah. And I have to say that also you wanted to know about General McInerney that David Rodriguez interviewed, and that was actually a very excellent interview. McInerney is really on it. And what's interesting to me is that Robert David Steele, one of the first things he said on my interview is that McInerney is all wet. And yet McInerney was saying really the best things I've heard out there, really telling it like it is about, you know, the vaccines and about the fact that we shouldn't have been locked down and the fact that the vote was stolen and just getting into everything. And I couldn't find anything that he said that was quote unquote off subject or missing the sort of missing the point or anything else. So it's very strange. We do have some, misunderstandings, I think, going across the board here right now. And maybe that's because we're coming up very soon on April 1st. And that's so that people are getting heightened about it. I know Juan sounded last night quite, I don't know what you want to say, energized towards the end of the interview, if you want to call it that, and really telling it like it is about people's responsibility in terms of supporting, child trafficking, et cetera. So was quite, it's great. I hope you listen to it.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Jen, what's been going on in your world? I know you've had several interviews and been super busy popping videos and interviews all over the place. And you look like you're in such a lovely, beautiful atmosphere right now. You look angelic back there.
Well, thank you. It is very beautiful, Southern Georgia. So this is where I do all of my work lately. It's very, I get a lot out of it. And, helping with this process of being patient, being out in nature, fresh air, sunshine does me a great deal of good. Yeah. So lately for me, I have been, like I tell everyone to encourage them, is holding the light, because it is, a lot of us are coming into this battle fatigue. So some warriors need to get some rest, and some need to move up to the front line. So that's what I sense is going on. And I know we are anticipating a lot with the advent of spring, the renewal that comes with spring, also the high holy days, you could say, and some of the correlations between what we're seeing now and some of the things that have happened in the past. So it's a great deal of reflection going on, study, research, meditation, and prayer. And that's where I am right now. And I encourage it because we have big things in store, as you all can imagine. Huge.
Okay. And you can't speak, can you speak into that? What big things in store mean?
Well, I will say this. When you look at everything from a 2020 retrospective view, nothing makes sense in terms of good losing because of the way this operation has unfolded. I see it as a win-win. Well, win for us, just win all the way around. It's been a delay, and we have learned a lot through these delays. We've been given a little more time when you think about it, because there were so many places along the continuum, the timeline, where we could have had very shocking things happen that it would have been a rude awakening for many. I believe the way this awakening is happening, it's allowing, and I used to be hard to wake up. My mother had to do so many things, you know. A lot of people just refuse to wake up. I was the kid that my mother, she's trying to get ready in the morning. I love to sleep. So I would go in the bathroom. I'd take my pillow in the bathroom. She thinks I'm getting prepared for the morning. I'm on the floor sleeping. Okay. So that's how I see these people. Okay. They're getting the last Z's in, but it's coming up on a crescendo. You know, this is because this is another thing that's logical to me. Darkness is the cover for the cabal. They must do a lot of their activities in the darkness. There's never been a time in our history, when you think about this one thing, there's never been a time when there's been so much exposure at one time. I mean, you'd get a little bit of exposure, but the people that brought the exposure in the past, they were looked at as the crazy, like, sandwich board people out in the middle of the subway saying the end is near, you know. They were seen that way. Now you've got people like a nurse, you know, journalists like yourself, Sharnael, a doctor. You have people coming forward that normally would never expose. I mean, adrenochrome is now commonplace language. Can you imagine how quickly that has happened? This is a very obscure subject, very esoteric. It is rolling off the tongues of my mother, for instance, okay? That says a lot. So I just look at things sometimes in its most mundane, you know, level to understand and to remind myself, because sometimes you slip into the 3D, like you want to see more things, and you check yourself and say, wait a minute, I'm seeing a lot already. And some of us get a little more to see.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's awesome. And I think too, there's definitely given a lot more time for people to see what's going on in the media and how bizarre some of these things are in the media with the CGI and the weird microphone stuff. And why is Trump, why is because Trump's my president, but why is the vice president and the president both on the same plane at the same time? They just showed that recently. And then today, Mr. Grandpa Earpiece, he gets up and does his little deal, and he actually says, I think that things should be like it used to be when I started in the Senate 120 years ago, blah, 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 and doesn't even skip a beat, keeps going, and like no one says anything like, you just said 120 years ago you've been in thing. And he's not kidding. Like, he's honestly thinks it's been 120 years since he's gotten the Senate. They gave him a week ahead of time to do this thing, so he had plenty of time to vet out questions and whatever. And then on the flip side, we got Ted Cruz, which I think was pretty amazing. I just saw a little clip of, you know, he was about to do his thing, and they were wanting him to put a mask on, and he was like, no, I'm good. And they were like, no, you know, you need to put a mask on to do the interview. And he's live already, and there's tons of people standing around. He was like, no, I'm not wearing a mask. I mean, he was like, you're missing the point. We're not close to each other. And he was like, we've all been vaccinated. And the guy says, well, we would feel better if you would, or whatever. And he was like, well, then you can go stand over there far away, which I just thought was hilarious. It's like, finally people are saying it on TV, you know, whether they got the jab or not, I don't know. And also I thought it was cool that he was standing up for himself and he was actually, you know, saying something. And my husband, he was like, oh, because I feel better when you're, you know, it's all about feelings and making everyone feel comfortable. And, you know, you don't see dogs and cats dying. Like, why is everything else in nature, and why are the animals thriving? You know, don't get me started, but, you know, we're trying to keep this code so I can actually keep this on YouTube. So I don't want to say the V word or any of the things, you know, talk too much about the COVID word and all. You know, we have to be so like politically correct to reach the masses, but also it can be done. But anyway, any thoughts on that? This image war of throwing things up, and, you know, to me that's got to be evident. Where are people still, you know, sleeping, or are they starting to see there's some discrepancies here in all of this?
Well, I guess, you know, I'm not sure what the question is. You know, are people awake? Some are, some aren't. Are people seeing the emperor's new clothes in this case of Biden? Probably. I think even people that have been asleep might be noticing there's something wrong with the person they voted for. I think that some people may be like my sister, who said just openly that she only voted for him because she figures he's going to die soon and Kamala will step in, and she's all gung-ho for Kamala. So I think there are those that are biding their time, biding their time. And that's a sad state of affairs. I think, you know, some people are going to stay kind of stupid and not get it. I think that Juan, if you listen, you know, it'd be great if we could all be on the same page and you guys had heard it, and then we could kind of compare notes, but maybe next time. At any rate, you know, in that you can notice that he's actually trying to position people to get ready that something is going to happen, that they are not just something, but that they're going to take back the country. Now, how they're going to do that, he was a little more specific than he was before. He was actually saying that that the military are going to step forward after they put back the person who won the election. And so, meaning Trump. So he wasn't saying the military are going to come and make an announcement. He was also making excuses for the fact that they haven't made an announcement, which he's done before, meaning like on my interview specifically, where I was kind of grilling him about that and saying, you know, look, they've had 4 years to prepare for this. A lot of you everyone knew that they were going to try to steal the election. It was known in the Trump administration, and one must assume that they clue in the military, or the military are even clued in. And if you listen to General McInerney, who certainly is part of the military or has been for his whole life and won, you know, all kinds of medals and stuff, if you look in his background, you can see that he's extremely clued in. He knew that there would be a stolen election, so they had plenty of time to prepare. What do they do under those circumstances? And since the election would be stolen, in other words, what that would mean is that Trump would not make it into the office the second time around, even if he won, but that, you know, Biden would be the guy, assuming, you know, whoever, even you could go back 4 years, if you can go back 2 years, it doesn't matter. They still had plenty of time to prepare. And but he was making a big deal about, well, so they weren't ready on January 6th to do anything about it. They kind of let him, at least that's what he was saying on this interview. Now, he's kind of said that before. The idea being that there are divisions in the military, that they've had to deal with, that is the reality. And Robert David Steele had alluded to that. He'd actually written an article about it and came out publicly saying that. He said that again, actually, on my interview with him, saying, I think he was talking about a third of the generals not being on point, on page, not agreeing, not wanting to come forward and do anything type of thing. But he stressed that in a situation where it's proven, and it is proven, and he emphasized this, that the United States is being threatened because there was infiltration in our election that came from overseas, that came from outside the country. So that what we have is a type of an invasion. He calls it like a digital war, act of war against the United States through use of the Dominion servers by various countries, and that they have the evidence. We know they went into a CIA safe house and got the servers, so that in theory, Trump and Sidney Powell have the evidence, have the hard evidence. He also made clear that in court, the reason she kept losing and others have lost, at least the way he was framing it, was that they were being thrown out on their merits of whether they had the right to bring the case to the court, not about the case. So it wasn't about whether the Dominion servers were or weren't involved in hacking the election, in essence. It was about whether the person who brought the case about the Dominion servers had a right to do so. And from what I understand, this is how the loophole that the courts use to get out of actually letting any of the cases be won by the Trump side. So I thought that was an interesting point, and I don't, haven't had a chance, and I don't know if I ever will, to go back and look at every case, but I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that have done so. So, he doesn't misspeak. He's very accurate when he delivers his stuff. So that is just proving that the courts are corrupt. They chose to ignore the cases in reality. So some people out there are going, oh, Sidney Powell's a terrible lawyer and she lost her cases. Well, that's not the case, okay, literally. So that's really interesting. Basically, you're asking me where people are at. And I can tell you that my interview with Robert David Steele and my position on the matter has gotten lots and lots of support. And I've done 2 other interviews this week that, people were saying they were kind of surprised because I was being more forthright or being more, I don't know what. They were saying I'm on fire, all this kind of stuff. But I was disclosing, stuff about, off-world stuff, what's, the bigger picture, kind of trying to help people to put things in context. And so I cover a lot of ground in those 2 interviews as well, and getting very positive feedback on those. So that's a good sign, if you want to call it that. But I've also made the point in those interviews that I think that that this so-called effort to educate people who are not already Trump supporters, in other words, has failed. In essence, in my view, I don't think that many people have really understood even. And it was kind of funny because in David Rodriguez's interview with General McInerney, he asked him if he knew anything about Q, if he'd follow Q or whatever. And McInerney knew absolutely nothing about Q. So, that's like a perfect, he's extremely knowledgeable. He knows a great deal, and yet he knows nothing about Q. So he's not in that camp, okay? And that's kind of my point, is that Q was aimed at the Trump supporters, the hard guard, whatever you want to call that. And especially people that are internet friendly, live basically on the internet every day, especially people that want to follow mysteries and clues, okay? Because that's part of what Q is about. And proved right time and time again. And still, from what I understand, is just still giving some very interesting cues. And sorry to talk so much, but I have a lot of stuff, and I can tell you that on that, we can move on to Jen. I do want to talk about something that's going on that is related. Yeah. And maybe I'm not supposed to use that letter of the alphabet either, but there is something going on that I want to talk about. But let's move on to Jen. And
yeah,
Jen,
let's go around just so everyone. I'd love to hear what you're seeing out in the field, because I know you guys you're seeing people, talking to people. Jen, are you feeling like you're seeing any changes at all as far as people waking up and remembering? And I'll ask the audience too, because I would love to hear those of you who are watching. Do you personally know of anyone during this delay that Jen was talking about? Has this delay allowed people to connect the dots in a better way and come to see the light a little bit more, or be more interested in taking back their authority, or making some new choices? Are you seeing that, Jen? And I'd love to hear from you guys too, because it would personally encourage me just to know that even though it seems like it's dreading on, like if it's for the sake of actual helping people to get there, it would make me feel a lot better. And it's all about me feeling better, right? So, but no, it's not. But it's good to know and to get some feedback, to see, like, friends, family, anything. Are you seeing that?
Personally, I am not in my family. Now, that is my litmus test to the Great Awakening for me. If I see, because my family, for the most part, they're in a coma. Now, I just have maybe 2 that I would say know what's going on. They're tracking on the same timeline. And the majority are raving banshees. They literally attack on social media. They troll. They slander, threaten. I mean, everything you can imagine. And just to hear Trump's name, they still have the TDS metastasizing. Okay, so when I see just one of them wake up, you're gonna know it. I'll probably be doing somersaults down the street. So for my personal litmus test, I would say not so much. When I go out in public, however, I'm seeing a few more people without the masks, and they're just looking human again. Because again, when I go out, I don't see humanity anymore. I don't feel it, but slowly but surely, I'm seeing and feeling a change. And that says a lot, because the particular demographic, they are known to be terrified. So it says a lot. So in terms of other people, I'll say this. New York, and I'm going to do a live stream about New York City. New York City let me down so much when I was up there helping out during the pandemic. I was used to tough New Yorkers. New Yorkers are always inspiring in that way. They're the people you can't run a game on. They're tough and street smart. However, when I was up there for the 4 months that I was up there, and I know New Yorkers, they did not seem like the New Yorkers that I knew. And I know that 9/11 broke the spirit of New York. I know a lot happened then. But still, they are a unique group of people energetically. So I'm very intrigued and encouraged, because on Instagram, I just went back to Instagram recently. I have these groups in New York that started following me, and they loved our last roundtable. In fact, they've been sharing portions of our roundtable, and they are anti-maskers in New York City. So there are groups right now, whether we know it or not, they are coming out. They are
secretly emerging.
It's amazing. I'm not kidding. I was so encouraged to see this. There's a woman, she goes out and she starts to film. She goes into the stores she used to frequent, and they don't mess with her. She doesn't wear a mask, and she has a group of people that it's a growing group. So I want to say something is happening with the people. They are waking up and they're saying things. Like I said, if adrenochrome has become a common word, something's going on.
Yeah, well, I've seen some, and but the ones that, isn't it funny that it's like, not funny, but the ones that you really want, you know, to be the ones to wake up, it's like not so much. But I'm actually wondering, and I was talking about this with David Rodriguez, and in our last interview, I'm wondering how many of these people have already just been taken over, because we know that 5G kicked in, and people are already so full of metals and AI stuff and everything from the nanos. So, you know, it could be, and this just came to me in the last video after going, you know, I told you about the doctor that I ran into last week with all the tongs and the double mask and the shield and everything. I was talking about that with David a little bit ago, and someone was like, you know, why are you outing your friend or whatever? And I wasn't outing. It's just I went back again, and it seemed like it was even worse than the week before. She had more stations up, and you know, then she actually asked me to put a mask on. I started laughing, and I was just like, I know you're joking, right? And then I just kind of like, she gave it to me, and I took it and kept walking. But I actually, it occurred to me in that moment, what if she's already been overtaken? What if the AI has kicked into some of these people and they're already being controlled? You know, that's just something that came to me. I don't know if it's true. Obviously, I can't scientifically back up anything, but it does seem interesting that there are some people that you literally just cannot even talk to about it. And the TDS, you know, maybe there's a little bit of BDS going on at this point too from the other side. And I had the thought about, what about a conscious uncoupling where, you know, healthy marriages, you know, they can walk away and go, you get this side, I'll get that side, you get the TV, I'll get the couch, you know, you can do your things over there and we'll just be over here. But then the more I thought about that, even though it would be a great like fantasy where we can't we all just get along and all of that, of course, they wouldn't want, their whole thing is about control and enslaving. So even if we went over there for a few minutes, you know, just like we came from Britain over here for a few minutes, eventually we got back in slavery, you know, so it's like, even if we took this side or that side, you know, you don't think that they would still be trying to shoot the chemtrails over and like get us to sleep so they can, you know, infiltrate or do some sort of, not Mockingbird, because we could have our own TV, radio, whatever. But what they did when they sent all the Germans over here, and just basically we kind of didn't lose. I mean, kind of didn't win like we thought we did, because here we are, and they took over technology and, you know, all the businesses and everything else. And so I hope I'm making sense on this, but I think it's all an illusion. It's an image war. I had Sasha Stone on earlier this week or 2 days ago, and I had Robert on too. Both of them, to me, in our interviews, were they were so happy and jovial. Especially Robert. I have not actually seen him so excited about anything in so long. And these tours, you know, that they're doing, I totally understand the power of social media. But if you haven't been to a Trump rally, I don't know if either of you have, but there is an energy there that is tangible. It's tangible. Like you can feel it. People were crying, not because of Trump, but because of just flags and fellowship and seeing other people and hugging other people and just seeing goodness and kindness, and the fact that people were actually choosing integrity and the Constitution, and that there were so many of us. And there's a buzz. It really, you can feel it in your body when you're there. And so I'm excited about the tour. I think it's a super idea. I know that there's another one in April, I think, with Sidney Powell and a bunch of other doctors and General Flynn's supposed to be there, and they asked me to come up there to that. I probably won't be going, but and not because I'm against it. I think it's the greatest idea. All these things we're gathering. I think it will be encouraging to see that there's more of us, because when you're in your house and then you go out to the grocery store and you're seeing 60-40 masks or whatever your percentage is, it can kind of start, at least for me, can kind of get to you. Like I know when we went to Vegas, that was a huge, like it took me a couple weeks when I got home to go like, wow, this is where we're at, because the places where I go, I'm not seeing that, and I wasn't forced to do things. And so when I went up there, I mean, I was sad. I was sad to see the level that it was at, and it took me a minute to kind of catch my breath on like getting my vibe back again, just because I was just down about like, oh my God, this is worse than I thought, you know. So I think being in groups where everyone is like on your side and believes in what you do and is there, and just seeing the numbers and the crowd, I mean, I think that could be so encouraging and uplifting. And we're definitely not seeing that in any press conference or anything that Mr. Earpiece is doing. And, you know, if he can get 4 people on a Zoom. So, but anyway, what were you going to share? I'd love to hear what you were going to share, Kerry.
Oh, right. Well, let me just say that, you know, I hope you don't misunderstand me. I wasn't trying to say that live get-togethers are a bad thing. I'm all for it.
No. I didn't think
but I actually, you know, I think that's wonderful to do that. But I do think, you know, who are the people? I just, you know, it was more the characterization of who are the people. And there was a disconnect in regard to understanding who are the people. So we are the people, and the people are here every day, all day. And and so, yes, some people will probably go out and be able to see the, you know, his caravan and so on. And I'm sure that's going to be great. So I'd love to do my conference, for example, this summer in the UK, but they locked UK and Germany down until June 30th. And the place is just, those people are completely prisoners in their own country. They can't go anywhere. And then, of course, they're looking at the vaccine passport in Europe. They're talking about that, some rumblings coming out today from various people. So that, you know, we're really fighting a fight to retain any liberty at all right now around the world. And how this is going to play out is really not clear. But what I would
say something real quick, because I'm seeing something in the comments. I don't want to cut you off, but I just said something about where I go at 60-40 and that I don't wear a mask and blah, blah, blah. And people are saying this, and I see it over and over again. And I'm going to say this again. That does not mean that Louisiana, where I live currently, doesn't have a mandate. Please understand, even for Jen and Kerry, and when we went out, we did not wear masks. It doesn't mean that there weren't mandates. We are doing it. We're taking it off and not wearing it as a choice against these mandates. So those of you who are like, but we have to, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Well, we did in Vegas, actually, and they had a policeman going in between, you know, basically going from table to table, telling us to actually wear a mask in between drinks.
Yeah, and we could have left, and in many places I have left.
Yeah, we did leave. So I just want to say that in California, we have to wear masks. Otherwise, they will not allow us in supermarkets to buy food. Okay.
At all.
So, at all, period. So that's it. You're not allowed. Okay. They will not allow you in. So, you know,
so there's a lady, Emily, that was there in Vegas. There's a lady,
and I've
Emily.
been stopped so many times. And even what I do is walk around a store and let my mask fall off. And, you know, and I actually don't even always do it on purpose. it's just, first of all, I wear a bandana, so I look like a bandit anyway. I don't believe in those fucking masks, but, you know, so I do my own thing. And I've even had people, try to force me not to wear my own mask type of thing. And I have to say that I was somewhere and they wouldn't let me in this hair salon unless I wore their mask. Mine wasn't good enough. So, there are places where they really do, they're just like they're mask Nazis. Is what
Well,
I call
we
them.
have places like that here, and I won't go there, number one. And number two,
Yeah.
this lady, Emily, who's in California, she was actually in Vegas with us. I'm going to connect you guys to her. I'm going to do an interview with her tomorrow. She has a folder binder, and it has all the like all the actual laws and all of everything. And one of the forms that she has is a discrimination form. She explains how every place is a public place and that they have the right to shop there and why the reasons why. And she has it all in legal terms. And if someone, she goes through the folder, she brings this folder with her everywhere. She said 12 times she's been, had to get to the point where she went through and said, okay, here's the form. So you're still not going to let me in without a mask. Okay, then what's your name? What's your address? And people are like, what are you doing? Why do you need my address? Because I'm filing a discrimination report. And this was even in the certain coffee place and certain grocery stores that are big box.
I don't think that is a victory of any kind when most people are under under duress. They're under duress to live their lives and to keep their jobs and do.
I'm just telling you what she did, and
I appreciate that. I'm not going around personally with a folder, but nonetheless,
she carries this folder.
Yeah, that's just not happening. Okay.
And she said when it got to the point where
that would make me more stressed out than wearing a bandana for 5 seconds and then walking in the store and letting it fall off accidentally a million times. So, everyone has their way of dealing with things. If that's her way, great. But I'm not a person who's going to, deal with that. I just want to tell you this really important thing, though. You were asking me about, and it has to do with this very interesting video I posted. I posted it actually on my Facebook and on my Telegram, so people will know. It has to do with this boat called Evergreen that's stuck in the Suez Canal right now, and right behind it is a boat that says WMDQ. Okay, so it's not able to back up, and I think it's not able to go forward, and Evergreen is code for Hillary Rodham Clinton. It's known. So there's something going on with that. There's this guy who's reporting this, and I know another person who validated this to me. And they're the ones who gave me the heads up. They're a military person as well. So the guy is basically saying something is going on with that. Okay. And I haven't had time to go back. This was, I was up at like 7 a.m. or something doing this research. And then since then I had to do a million things having to do with saving my YouTube channel, my videos and so on and so forth. And so I haven't checked back to see what the status on that is. So maybe there's some viewers that followed the trail. Maybe there's some new announcements. I just wanted to say that this relates to Q, obviously. WMD, Weapons of Mass Destruction. Q is the call sign of the boat behind Evergreen, which is Hillary. So this is some kind of weird thing. And I have a friend of mine said, well, I wonder if that Evergreen contains, like it's a container. I don't know if it's a container ship that might have, children being transported there, but it's whatever's going on, something's going on. So just to be aware of that.
Wow. Well, we know that, I think Jen was with me when we were talking to Jim Caviezel, and right after the movie screening, we were there for hours, and he actually talked about the weaponization of weather, including Haiti. And, because he was a part of working with Tim, what's his last name? Ballard. And it went back to Katrina and all these weather things that have been going on. And Haiti was one of them. And there was a ship out there that said, a green ship that said Evergreen even then. So it doesn't surprise me. And there were kids on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
but
So
and anyway, but
yeah. So, one of the things that was said, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but one of the things that was said by Juan several times in various interviews, he said it may take a quote unquote event to kick things off so that we can go to the next stage. Now, I'm hearing that April is definitely happening. I don't know if April 1st is the date. Robert David Steele seemed to be vacillating, trying to say, and he's supposedly had dinners 3 times this week with Juan. I know that Juan was headed back to the East Coast a few days ago, so he's probably there by now, maybe. If he's headed to the East Coast, maybe something's happening over there.
he's already back to the East Coast.
So then, but whatever that, it's hard to say. Just because he's there doesn't mean. I think it's interesting what we're dealing with in terms of the military and the sort of different stories, and how suddenly Robert David Steele, is coming out having an issue with McInerney. I'd like to delve into that and find out more about what's the issue, because unfortunately, my interview with Robert David Steele was really more about his events planning and all of that. So we didn't go down this other road, which is the kind of interview I normally do, where I would have asked him more about why he was saying that. But anyway, so I don't know what's up with that. I don't know what particular statements McInerney was saying that he was taking issue with, is what I'm saying. So if anyone has, I know McInerney is still out doing interviews, and I'd love to have him on my show too. So if anyone has contact with him, I was going to try to get in touch with David. That would be great. And I know that there are other military people that could be talking that aren't. So, everything's kind of buttoned up other than that.
Well, do you have anything to add to that, Jen?
Well, in terms of the Evergreen Shipping Company, I like to say that it's interesting to me. I did hear somebody mention it. I hadn't looked into it more, but initially last year when I was learning about Admiralty maritime law, that was something that came up in my research, is Hillary being attached to that particular shipping company. And once I learned that, it was really hard to see the shipping containers on the road when I'm driving. I see a lot of them, and I couldn't stop, thinking what in the world is inside of these containers. So I have been getting some intel that a lot of shipping, the berths, what is it called? The documentation. I'm trying to think.
Admiralty law? Are you trying to say
when
that?
you have the bill of lading. So a lot of these documents are floating around right now. So it seems that there's big disclosure on the way in terms of the whole trafficking of children. The timing has to be just so, because this level of disclosure is going to, I hate to say, it's going to break people down. One of the particular pieces of documentation I've seen actually, it relates to Beyonce, the entertainer, and some shipping documents that are floating around. She had been named in a really huge case, one of the sealed documents that was unsealed. And this was a botched case, but it named so many big players. They said that the judge said, just dismissed it. Doesn't mean that this is not all coming around, because one thing I'm understanding about this whole issue, these people are all named in these various indictments, and some names, just because it's one indictment, you all know this already, it doesn't mean it's just one person. It could be many, many people attached to one indictment. So I'm saying that to say that there's something going on, because they were out of supplies for a while. It seems that the whole operation got restarted again. And if we're hearing evergreen in terms of shipping, I'm just saying, this is what it is just an intuitive feeling along with the intel just pieces that I'm getting. So
on my Telegram channel, I put a link to, I think it's a Polish documentary. I don't know if you guys happen to come across it. That's a weird sound. Anyway, and it's I don't know if it'll stay on the internet very long. So if you want to join my Telegram and go see, the link is there. There's a few things before it, since then that I posted. So you have to look for it, but it's there. And I watched some of it. I couldn't watch all of it. It's quite, it's actually not just implicating what you might call a network, but it's actually implicating mothers and their handlers and so on, who are contributing their own children willingly to the situation. And it's very, so if, it's not for the faint at heart to say, but they're, it's very sad, but it's the kind of thing where it's not very different than even something that, Juan was making that point too, by the way, in his recent thing, saying about how go back in history and you'll see that children have often been traded for the families to get money, and when they were poor and so on, and unwed mothers and situations as like that, taking money for their children. What is that sound? Do you hear that high-pitched sound?
I hear it, but I don't know what it is.
That's really weird.
But we got to wrap up anyway. I know you guys got other interviews. I don't know what happened to Laura. We will find out, and on our next round, we'll let you guys know. We're going to do this periodically when we get together, all four of us, and just catch up and put our heads together on what new intel we have from you guys and from study and research. And I think this is our second one now, and we hope to do more. And I hope that you guys are enjoying it. We got a lot of really good feedback on our last panel, and I hope that you guys enjoyed getting some of this information again. Do you have any final words, either of you, on let's leave on a good note of like some things that we can do, personal things that we can do to raise our vibration, to keep our mental state at its highest and best, to create. One of the things I was talking with Sasha is this is an image war. So, what we're looking at, what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, it's very important that we are keeping it in the creative side as creators. We can actually change this timeline through imaging. And it was so cool. Twice this week, someone has sent me videos. One of them, the first one that I got was about Looking Glass. And I was, I hadn't seen it, or maybe I did years ago, but I watched it and I could hear Kerry in the background interviewing this guy. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, she's been around and done all of this for so long. And then the second one I got was on William Tompkins, which I've watched a billion times. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But these sorts of positive things and like any images that we can do, with Looking Glass, watching it again, it was about, each of our will and choices, and that it would change moment to moment to moment, depending on who was looking at it, what was participating. And we know with both sides thinking that they're doing what they're doing. I personally think there's more of us. I still am believing that there's way more of us, but they're just
as the doors say, they got the guns, but we got the numbers.
Really? You think they got the guns?
Yeah, they do. They have more guns. They have more guns, more. It's, it's not just guns that they have. This is part of the problem that we're up against, is that, again, I call it mutually assured destruction. Both sides have the weapons. Both sides have Looking Glass. Both sides have the technology. They can't go head to head. with the technology, or we'd all be obliterated. So that's not an option. So we have to go a different route. And that's what we're doing in the process of doing. And there's a lot to that. So, but what I want to say is,
yes, personally, what do you do personally?
Positive, I think we're revealing the truth, and the truth is getting out there. So for people that don't want to hear it, they don't, that's going to be their choice as a soul at this time round. But for those that want it, it's there in plenty. And I think that that's one of the most wonderful things that's going on right now. People really getting the truth, getting closer and closer to the real truth, instead of these platitudes and nonsense and, sort of this fantasy about, how people really live and what's really going on planet Earth, while, people are kind of dying under their feet, so to speak. So I think this is a good thing. You may not look at it as a good thing because the actual information itself may be disheartening, but it's a good thing because it's real and it's true. So it needs to be outed so we can get rid of it, so we can handle it, so we can deal with it and, attack it or move it around, or, do what's going to be done, make decisions, make intelligent decisions rather than stupid decisions, And so I think to me, it's a great time. It's a time when people are being honest for once and telling the real truth about what's really going on, and realizing that they, as Juan said in his latest, we are going to be slaves no more. I mean, what's better than that? What's better than announcing and dealing with, becoming a free, truly free being? That's got to be the most exciting thing ever. So that's what I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. What are you doing, Jennifer, besides being in nature and catching the vibes of the trees and the sun and the wind? What are you doing to keep yourself, because all of us, like you mentioned, the warriors and taking a rest, and, a lot of things we know that we can't even talk about. So what do you do to just keep up?
Well, one of the things I added was being in nature, and I encourage people to be in nature, barefoot, grounding, and meditating, and just getting fresh air and sunshine. So that's been a very positive thing to consistently do. Imagery is very important as well. I'm a very visual person, and I will curate images and keep them in a folder if I have to. But spoken word is also very important, and written word as well. I would recommend journaling. I know it sounds like another thing to do, right? But if you do it consistently, it's just like forming a habit. I have so many journals since this whole pandemic started. Just books and books and books. I could write a few books from my journals. And sometimes it's just free, just writing, just whatever comes to your mind. When you wake up at 3 a.m, I know a lot of us are waking up at those hours, right? If you want to record, I've even taken my phone and recorded. So like Juan says, we are going to be the historians going forward. We have lived in a matrix where history has only been told by the victor, which is usually a dark entity and dark entities. This will be the first time in history that I'll say in our modern history, because we know we've had other histories, but in our modern history that we've taken the power back and we've shown light so bright. Like I said, there's never been a time like this where so much exposure has happened at one time. Just appreciate that alone. Just sit with that and really, really think about it. We have only had maybe here or there things have been exposed, but it's been a controlled exposure. From what I understand, even down to Watergate, that was just a ruse to tell you to look over here while they were taking us off the gold standard.
Yeah.
So even some of the scandals that they've allowed to slip out, it's to cover something else.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time in our history that so much has been exposed, so much light has come in. And that's why I'm so positive. I'm not fearful. I do not lose heart and get demoralized. Understand that the cabal, they are experts at demoralization. And if you allow demoralization, the frequency changes from love to fear. So if you know God won't fail, I don't have a God that fails. This is it. This is the perfect storm. We think a lot of things had, dropped off the plate, gone to the back burner, whatever you want to say. It hasn't. Down to the smallest details, when you intuit them, you'll realize, okay, it's time to expose Hillary and Evergreen. It's time. Look at how many are dropping off. Even Chrissy Teigen, the pedophile, female pedophile. That is something that is shocking to a lot of people. They told us to watch the women, watch the wives. We think that women are all nurturing and protective of children. This is going to be a shock to learn all of the women involved in the child sex trafficking. So we are about to be shocked. The pain has to come on the world, unfortunately. But from pain, we're going to heal. On the other side of pain is Jubilee, a sabbatical for the workers, the light workers. Light workers get a sabbatical.
Yep. That's so good. Well, I know for me, magnesium baths. I found you can just go to a health food store and you could buy magnesium. It's called Calm, and it comes in different flavors. Talk about chilling you out in a very natural way. We need all the magnesium we can possibly get for our nervous system. Super B is really good. Something about water, getting by the water, getting in nature. Kerry and I were talking about this a couple days ago. She went down to Malibu, and I'm like, I'm just going to pretend I'm in the car with you, with your dog, listening to the Doors or the Beach Boys or whoever, because that's what she listens to. And, being with friends, having, laughing, watching funny movies, essential oils have frequency, 67 megahertz on a regular healthy day is what we are. But there are oils that come from plants because they're the blood of a plant that can actually raise your frequency right at the DNA level. Getting barefoot, like Jen said, using crystals. I wear crystals, the black crystals, shungite, jet, obsidian, all of those are very good. Meditation's really good. Just remembering God and us and remembering our authority and what we can do. And telling the truth, standing up. Like Kerry said, this is our time. And it is painful, like both of them mentioned, and yet it's also, pain is a great teacher. And if we can look at this and frame it in the perspective of it's kind of like cleaning out your garage or something. It's like you might throw everything out and it looks way worse at the beginning, but when you get rid of everything that you need to, some goes in the trash, some's got it wherever to donate it, some give it to their friends or whatever, and then you put things back in order. And I think that we're kind of in the middle of just tearing everything out of the garage right now. And let's just see what we got here, kind of, where are we? What do we even have? This stuff has been in here for decades, and it's time to clean it out. And that's just me where we are. And I think we should do that on a personal level as well, going on the inside and working with our own fears and our own triggers and what we're doing to be our best self, going to eat good food and drink good water and exercise and those things, and then dealing with whatever comes up. If you get upset about something, you may need to rest. You may need to go outside. You may need to journal. You may need to, ask yourself questions like, okay, why did that make me so upset? Where is this coming from? Where did this start? And talk yourself through and allow what's coming up to transmute instead of the suppression, depression, oppression, which just pushes it right back down and gets us into dis-ease, which is where we are as a country and a world right now. There's dis-ease going on, but this is the time and the pain where the signals and the symptoms are coming forth, and we can like look at this as an opportunity instead of, you know, the worst case scenario. We could say, what can we do? What can I do? And start with the inside and working on ourselves, because as a collective, if we are all shifting individually, then that is only adding to the collective of the earth and the galaxies for us to all have a higher vibration and to move forward into the positive. And so that is, for me, my truth. And I hope that you guys had a good time with us tonight. And I look forward to seeing you beautiful ladies again on our next endeavor. And I know you got big things coming up, and I will be looking out and checking out what you're doing. And we will talk soon. We went a little bit over, but love you guys so much.
Thank you. Love you
All
all.
right.
All right.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Okay. Bye-bye.